And now from let's see, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Sri Lanka, we're going to move over to Japan, to the Oku. We're going to focus on the Oku, and the Oku, when people think of the Oku, they think of, this group of Japanese sex-crazed women, engaging in shogun orgies. But that's the myth, and Dr. Cecilia Segawa Seigle and Dr. Linda Chance have done a study. They've consulted manuscripts which are not only difficult to access, but also very difficult to read and interpret. So they have done a study that has brought so many primary materials to the world of Japanese studies, and we are very honored to have both of them here to speak about the book. So Dr. Cecilia Segawa Seigle and Dr. Linda Chance, would you please tell us about your book?
Okay, well, it took me for such a long time, more than 20 years, that my hair turned completely white. And my eyes are almost blind. If I read anything for 2 hours, I can't read anymore. Well, that's just an excuse. With my age, certainly, Divine's daughters and mother lived and prospered, and then many hundreds of women, serving women, lived there too. Now, first I became interested in it when I was writing the Yoshiwara book, The Courtesans and the Prostitute, of the same period, from 1600 on to the end of the Edo period, 1868, or actually Yoshiwara ran over that period, but anyway, it's a very similar situation, similar lengths. And one was at the very bottom of society, and the other one was at the very top of society, socially, culturally, and everything. That's why I became interested in Oku when I was writing the Yoshiwara book. And of course, they are not only socially antipodal, but the purpose of it were completely different, and yet they had this same sort of repressive rules and regulations within that walled-in area, compounds where they all lived. They had their own language, manners, customs, traditions, aesthetics, fashion, all sorts of things. That's why I became interested in Oku while I was writing about Yoshiwara. And as soon as, I started the research when I was still writing Yoshiwara. But it took me a long time to write it because I put it away. I'm not a good writer. I'm a terrible organizer. So. But it finally is coming out thanks to Cambria Press, Tony and Michelle, and especially my colleague Linda Chance, who encouraged me and helped me a great deal, and Linda's husband, Dr. Frank Chance over there too. And then a lot of people whom I acknowledged in the book. There were a lot of other people who advised me, but I ignored them, and I did exactly the opposite thing that they told me to do. So they're not acknowledged. Anyway, as I studied the Oku, it was always a mysterious place because very few people knew. There's no authentic written records because the people who worked there, not only the women who worked in the Oku, but everybody who worked in the Edo Castle, men and women, were forbidden to talk about or write about to write in a letter or their own pleasure. They were not supposed to, and as they were employed in Edo Castle, they had to make an oath of silence. And when silence dominates any place or organization, people get very, very curious, and they start making all kinds of rumors and myths and so forth. So there were always made up stories and rumors and so forth, but I found out that this organization, certainly Yoshiwara and Oak were two very, very important institutions during the Edo period for almost 300 years. Yet they were similar, and yet they were very, very different. And I found out Oak had a lot more to offer than the rumors and made-up stories that started to come out. Shortly after I started my study, Oak somehow became very popular in their movies and television and manga, comics, and all sorts of things started to come out. So a lot of people know about it. And then scholars started to write books. I was very slow, and so after everybody came out with all kinds of books in Japan, finally this book is coming out. But I think my book has a little different emphasis than others, because I emphasize the slow power building of the women who worked there, not the head person or the top people or the famous people who were featured in movies and television work, but the people who were working very hard day after day, and many of them gave up their life, their personal life, because there was absolutely no connection with men. They went into to work, and they stayed there for their life, for the rest of their lives. So it's a setup in which women could build power, and that is exactly what happened. But the power did not come from the top, but from the middle layer, the phalanx of working women, the daughters of a special class called the Hatamoto. The Hatamoto daimyo are the provincial lords who are next to shogun, and below daimyo were class of Hatamoto who worked for shogun directly, and their daughters were the ones who went into Oak to work for life, giving up so much. And the segregation of these women, because they could not go out of the Oak structure, they were really ignorant about outside world. They had no connection, and that worked out in a way favorable to their building up the power structure over close to 300 years. And another reason was that they were segregated from men because they didn't have, I'm sorry. They didn't have any contact with men. Men couldn't control these women, and they became very autonomously powerful. So, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Please wrap it up. You go ahead and conclude.
It's okay. She will wrap it up.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to say that Cecilia has read all manner of records, diaries, histories. She did all this work for decades, and I've always been in awe of Cecilia, who's been my colleague since 1990, and always wanted to work with her. And thanks to this opportunity and Tony's encouragement, I was able to help her just shape the material that she's worked on so long and so hard into something really fascinating.